in West Belfast and North Belfast. These communities, you don't need me to remind you, have suffered from decades, literally decades of neglect and decades of discrimination. And as a direct legacy of that, as a direct result of that, the housing waiting lists in these areas were astronomical in comparison to housing waiting lists in other areas. Now in the 1980s, the one and only Margaret Thatcher launched a scheme to enable individuals to buy their own homes. Now nobody would condemn the ordinary man or woman or couple or family that wish to own their own homes, perhaps to pass it on to their families or pass it on to their children. But that isn't entirely what happened in areas like West and North Belfast. What we saw in this, the second or third generation of house buying schemes that have occurred since Thatcher's reign, is the influx of unscrupulous capitalists and unscrupulous speculators who have came into these areas and literally bought street after street after street after street, district after district after district of social housing, and they have taken the social housing stock away from the people. Worse still, they have taken what was left of the social housing and they have now sold it on to speculators from further afield, to speculators away from West Belfast, sometimes to speculators in England, America and elsewhere. They have then applied Thatcher's old Tory market values to what's left of the housing stock and attempted to rent it back to the people of these areas at astronomical rates. They have looked at the vulnerable people of West Belfast and they have identified a shortage of housing, and they have said to the people, because you're in need, we are going to raise your rent to a disgraceful degree. Now there's only one word for such a practice, and that word is extortion. They're extorting the vulnerable families of West Belfast. They know they are setting rates at impossible levels. They're setting the rents at impossible levels. We in RNU have heard stories in the past year and beyond that of parents who had to choose whether or not to pay their rent and get evicted, or whether to dip in to their other benefits or dip into their meagre wages to pay their children. And this is so speculators from not even from these areas can come in and make a few quid, make a quick profit. And it is exactly people like McGranagan's here, Northern Properties down there, the bullies and property people over in the Ormer Road and over in the Antrim Road that are facilitating these speculators and these capitalists to do this. We're saying quite simply, this community did not go through suffering, did not go through neglect and oppression, torture and war, now just to be exploited by people who aren't even from these areas, or worse still, those who are from these areas and quite frankly should know better. Our demand is quite simple. Stormont, or the British government, or whatever government you want to call it, says to the average person, you're entitled to this much housing benefit. We're saying if that's good enough for that government, it's good enough for McGranagan's, it's good enough for Northern Properties, and it's good enough for the rest of the landlords. We're demanding that at the very least rents be capped at housing benefit levels, and that the landlords don't receive a penny more. If that's not good enough for them, if that doesn't rake in enough profit for them, the answer is simple. Get out of the areas, hand the houses back into public ownership where they should have been left in the first place. We won't be going away until the rents are dropped.